and gentlemen, we are very happy to be here to present to you a project which is probably quite unique at the moment, not only in Africa, maybe on the entire planet. The German government gave us a bit of money to start something which is called African e-bike, AfricroozE. We'd like to guide you through a small presentation because we have really big challenges and big goals. We would like to transform mobility on the African continent, and the focus is, of course, for development cooperation in Africa. We are having already a number of partners. The German government, as I said, Oskar Habeck, the son of Robert Habeck, was already part of our work in Africa. Robert Habeck himself sat on this e-bike here. You can see it here. And it has a number of features. My colleague will introduce you in the features. We have over 15 years of experience with transport projects in the entire continent of Africa. We are a non-profit institution based in Hamburg, a number of partners in the continent. We are working internationally also with United Nations, UN Habitat, etc. And all of these partners who are already knowing our project, they are already running into our doors, especially the African countries, ringing us and sending us emails. I think this is something which shows that maybe we are at this right time with the right project. Climate change, fossil fuel costs are increasing in Africa everywhere. So this is something which we have, and of course the mission of our organization is a transportation system reform. We would like to support African governments, or we are doing this since a number of years, to develop good transport practice. We are transferring also best practice, but this, what we are developing now, is not existing in Africa so far. Our team is at the moment based in Hamburg, as I said, and we have a strong team in our main partner country, Uganda, backstopped also by German former Minister of Transport, Kurt Bodewig, and also the German ambassador in Uganda. This is our team at the moment. I think we have strong partners here already. We have in Berlin based, we have H&F Nicolai. This is the Porsche under the designers for e-bikes. I was told so, and so we really designed together with the African partners the e-bike for this continent. But of course, we are strongly working also with the Ugandan organization Fabio, First African Bicycle Information Organization, and the bike, and that's maybe a key point, is produced by the world's largest bicycle manufacturer, which is Hero in Delhi in India. They're producing 6 million bikes per year, and the whole thing is funded, as I said, by KfW, by the German government. Actually, we are planning a parliamentarian evening in the German Bundestag for that, really to see what we can do. I think it's now your part, Rumbi.
Yeah, gladly. So we've heard a little bit about the partners and everybody that's involved in this project, but I'd like to take us now to the bicycle itself to have a look at what it can actually do. So our goal wasn't to take an e-bike that already exists on the market. We didn't, because we knew that whatever exists in Europe or might work well in Asia isn't necessarily what's perfectly suited for the African environment, for the conditions and the requirements of the market in general. So what did we need? We needed a bicycle that can take extremely heavy loads. That was a prerequisite. And our AfricroozE, which you can see here, can take up to 100 kilograms on the rear carrier. In addition to that comes then whoever is actually riding it. So that's not included in the 100 kgs. We can cover a distance of 40 to 50 kilometers with one battery charge. We would like to amp that up to 60 kilometers, a maximum speed of 30 kilometers an hour. We will probably maintain that out of safety reasons. Each bike is equipped with GPS. And something very important for us was to have this affordable price. So there are actually a lot of e-bike pilot projects going on in several African countries. But the e-bikes we're talking about there are bikes that cost 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 euros. And we were looking at a price that's less than a quarter of that. That is, for us, absolutely necessary so that people are able to afford it through some sort of systems, which we'll go into later. Another very important part for us was making sure that spare parts were available on the African market. So during the design process, we made sure we looked at each small part to make sure that if it's broken, it can be replaced, and 85% of this bike can actually be replaced from spare parts found on the local markets. So we mentioned that we had a rollout, this project that was financed by the KfW. The first 100 bikes arrived in Uganda in March of this year and have been on the road now. And I mentioned the GPS functions that it has. So that was important for us for the live location tracking on the one hand for ourselves so that we can monitor, we can evaluate this data analysis, proving that it works. That was very important for us. On the other hand, if the bicycle is stolen, it can be tracked, it can be found most likely. Each GPS tracker is equipped with a global SIM, so that means it taps into whichever network is the strongest or whichever network is there at that time, making it very convenient also in more rural type of areas. And also through geofencing, it can again help where a user can say, I will only use it within this environment, and once it leaves that certain set space, they will also get an SMS alarm about it. So looking at some of the different models we have, this is an example of an e-bike ambulance that's used by health centers, by village health teams, in areas where people would have otherwise walked to hospitals or have to scrounge money together to be able to use a motorcycle. We also have the water carrier e-bike with a special carrier at the back, which can carry easily 4 jerry cans, so 80 liters of water, though we've seen people load another 2 on top as well. The taxis, so the first 2 were more like social business perspectives, and this one is more directly into the business area, so looking at income generation. Bicycle taxis themselves, this already exists in many parts of East Africa, definitely also in Uganda, but our thought process was, what if we can make the whole thing faster? Will they be able to cover greater distances? Will they carry more people? Will they thereby significantly increase their income? That's exactly what we wanted to test. Another one is the delivery bike, and again, from this business income generating perspective. So this is used in any kind of last mile logistics. We also have hotels that are using this bike, so to purchase goods, services for their guests, but also they themselves use it, for example, to take laundry to the laundry cleaning services where they would have otherwise used a motorcycle. Now they have this option. But it's also used by a lot of private owners for delivering parcels, for delivering food. So it was important for us that these bicycles are powered by solar energy. It exists in abundance in Africa and is continuing to increase. This is something that has been really growing in the last few years, and we wanted to take advantage of that. At the moment, within the scope of this project, we developed 2 solar service centers or mobility hubs, which you can see here, equipped with a solar panel so one can charge there or simply swap a battery and continue on their way. It's also a space where one can come for repairs and maintenance or just to find more information about the project in general and how to acquire such a bicycle. And we've received now since March a lot of feedback from this project, and I just wanted to show some of it. I won't really go through it verbatim, but the first one is from an e-bike taxi driver. He says he delivers food. He has a contract with a school where he delivers food every day. He also has some students that he carries every single day to school. So he has this stable income, and through that he has noticed his general income increase. He has said that he's now able to pay school fees for his children, and then his health has improved. The second one is of a beneficiary of a water e-bike, and she is thrilled to have this bike. She says it's great to have a bike that doesn't break down constantly when I load all my water on it. She uses it in a multi-purpose function, so not only for transporting water, but also fetching firewood, for carrying harvest to the garden. And there's one more lady we have who's also a beneficiary of a water e-bike. She's now not shown on this presentation, but she said, for example, she has now made a business out of transporting water. So she now carries these number of jerry cans several times a day into her community, and that makes it easier for the ladies in the community because it is primarily the women that fetch the water. So they don't have this burden anymore of transporting heavy kilograms of water, and for her it's a source of income. So really some great feedback. Now this has just been a summary of what we have done so far, and we are very pleased with where we are, but at the same time we still see this as very much so the beginning, and we have great plans which Jürgen will tell us a little bit more about.
Yeah, thank you, Rumbi, for introducing a little bit more into the details and especially in the feedback. Most of you, I guess, have not been to Sub-Saharan Africa, but when we see what is currently happening there, the motorization rate is extremely high. The urbanization rate in Africa is the highest. We have a lot of people who are born in the low-income groups, in the middle-income groups, so the highest the demand in transportation is increasing, and at the same time we have only informal transport sector. We have no efficient public transport. We have no bicycles on the road in the cities anymore. So the challenge is really because mobility is key for development. It was the same here in Europe and Germany, and it is still the same in entire Africa. So, and we are also not limited to Africa. We have requests from other regions. One container is going to Sri Lanka soon. Probably also Middle and Latin America might also be in some years part of our project. At the moment, we are increasing the number of partners in Africa, and the idea is to, I would say, to upscale the sales of e-bikes based on a microfinance model where somebody who's interested immediately gets an e-bike for $1 per day, and he pays back in 2 years' time. The system we are looking for is a social entrepreneurship. So what we are seeking for is, on the one hand, partners who can develop with us a competence center for e-bike mobility on the continent. On the other side, we are also looking for partners who are interested in supporting the idea of a social microfinance system. And that is exactly the way how masses can be mobilized. All these activities are around the Agenda 2030, they're around the SDGs, and we have estimated we will achieve 10 or 11 of the SDGs.
Exactly.
So gender, for instance, is one SDG. We just found out that the women groups who received e-bikes, we thought they would transport their water, but they are transporting water 5 times a day. They are selling it in the village and they're making profit. And that's exactly the point. On the one hand, we are looking for the profit-oriented cases where people can pay back a loan within 2 years' time. And on the other hand, of course, we are looking for CSR partners because we are still in need for those ones who can afford the full price to subsidize the e-bikes. And in addition to that, we are working together with the development partners like Bread for the World or like GIZ, like USAID. We just had a long discussion with USAID. So I think from that point of view, it's very important to extend the network, extend the knowledge in this area. And from here we go. We are here. We have been here 2 years ago at the Shift Mobility Conference. We were at the start of the beginning. Bjarne Medel, I don't know whether you know him, is one of our key ambassadors of the story. He went with us to Uganda. He saw what is possible with e-bikes, and he was immediately enthusiastic about the idea to do something more. So what we are doing right now is the proof of concept. This is what I said already. Then we are developing a new battery. A battery is necessary, and that's our unique selling point, because if you buy an African e-bike, if you buy an AfricroozE, you buy an e-bike which is affordable and can be recuperated when you go downhill. It can communicate with a microfinance partner to stop, for instance, the e-bike completely when you have not paid off your loan. And the battery can also be overviewed. It can inform the driver when the battery goes off and you have to reload. So all this will flow into a competence center with a new battery, with technologies from solar hubs to batteries from e-bike models, because we are now developing a female type of that. And so this is something we are heading to, and we are already in a quite good position. We have some competitors, if you say so, but they are all profit-oriented at the moment. And that's the good thing. Jurist, as an organization, is a non-profit organization. We are not selling and buying e-bikes. Maybe that's also a message we would like to bring over. We would like to foster the transportation system reform from bottom to top. Because I have 25 years of experience working with African partners, with African governments also. It's always difficult to do something from the top to bottom. We try to establish bus systems, urban cable car systems, and you see it's not really working in a speed which is necessary to overcome the transport bottlenecks on this continent. We are supported by, as I said, by many international partners and national partners. KfW has sponsored this. We are invited on September 12th to the 6-year celebration. We are doing a parliamentarian evening, and all this shows us that also in Germany, we are creating some interest because we are a mobility country. Here, the bicycle was invented, and the bicycle is already disappearing in the African scene, especially in the cities, because it's the poor man's car. Many think it's a poor man's car. So we would also like to increase the image of cycling through the e-bike, and also to create a certain understanding among partners to develop infrastructure for cycling facilities. That could come through the back door, more or less. Yes, and I think with these words and with this short introduction in our project, we would like to end here. We would like to invite you to come to our stand. We are just around the corner here to talk to us a little bit more in detail. In this way or another, we are happy that we could present here. Thank you very much, and we are open for your questions.
Rumbi, Jürgen, thank you very much. I need to ask first, how does it feel after, 5 years of managing, to finally see the bicycles on the road in Uganda? How do you feel about it?
It's something where, of course, this is a dream at the very beginning, because you never know if things succeed in a way. But when you see the people coming to us and saying, you know, my neighbor wants also something like this, and I have now earned so much money that I could afford to send my girl to school. Yeah? The boys are very often at school, the girls not. So we think the direct feedback is that what really drives us to say, okay, the feedback is so positive, we must continue. Even if it's tiresome, of course, we have bottlenecks, but that's the situation right now.
But as we all know, it's just the beginning. So the two of you, what do you think, what is necessary to make sure that this is a success story, that it will work at the end?
So I would say, if I could start with that answer, very, very important for the success of this project is the price issue. The bike has to be affordable on the African market. And how do we do that? Well, first of all, by scaling up, we can help to significantly reduce the price. And secondly, through stable microfinance systems, so that everybody is able to pay back at whatever rate is sort of manageable for them, and eventually to own a bicycle. Another important thing is, and Jürgen mentioned this, so I'll just very briefly say it, the research and development. This is completely new. So we need to be able to test out completely different scenarios. What sort of business case is the most lucrative for the users? What kind of solar charging systems are perhaps the most suited for the environment? It's a new case, and one can't necessarily only try and apply what one has learned in other places. So I would think those two things would really help to make it successful on the African market.
And what we learned is also, this is no bicycle anymore. It's called e-bike. In Africa, they don't want to call it e-bike because bicycle has a poor image, so they call it AfricroozE. But it's not e-bike anymore. It's not bicycle anymore. We have technologies in like the solar energy going into the battery itself, the BMS, the battery management system. It's so complex that we really need capacity building of partners. That is a very important knowledge. The software, with the hardware is fine. We can develop that with a lot of partners who are eligible to do that, but the software is completely new. Capacity building, because people want it, but now how to set that into practice.
You mentioned that you're always looking for partners. I can totally recommend to you our Shift family. So we have lots of people here, smart people in here. So I think that's the right place to connect in here as well. Okay. Perfect. Rumbi, Jürgen, as we don't have any time anymore for questions, I'm sure you are around if people want to get in touch with you by now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.